Welcome back to Myth World Explained, where history and legend meet. Today we dive into the story of the shocked kingdom that shocked the world, a tale of unexpected power, daring choices, and a legacy that shook empires far beyond its borders. This kingdom defied expectations, stood against giants, and left historians and storytellers in awe. Its rise wasn't just about armies or kings, but about decisions that reshaped culture, faith, and destiny itself. Get ready to uncover how one kingdom's surprising path altered the course of history and still echoes through time. Let's begin the journey. History is full of empires that rose with thunder and fell with silence. Yet every so often, the world remembers a kingdom not for the vastness of its armies or the endlessness of its wealth, but for its unexpected choices. Those moments when a kingdom does something so unusual, so shocking, that it forces the world to rethink its assumptions. One such story is that of the shocked kingdom, a realm that stunned the great powers of its time, and whose legacy continues to echo through history. This kingdom is none other than Khazaria, a medieval state perched between Europe and Asia, whose rulers and elites made a choice that astonished both Christian and Muslim empires. They embraced Judaism, a faith with no empire, no worldly power, and no political backing in an age dominated by religious superpowers. To the Byzantines and the Islamic caliphates, this decision was baffling, even threatening. Yet to the Khazars, it was an act of strategy, survival, and identity. Let us journey through the rise of this kingdom, its shocking decision, and the way it changed the world. 1. The setting, between giants. To understand why Khazaria's story is so astonishing, we must first imagine the world of the 7th and 8th centuries. The map of Eurasia was dominated by two religious political titans. The Byzantine Empire in the west, staunchly Christian, inheritors of Rome, with Constantinople as its shining capital. The Islamic caliphates in the south and east, rapidly expanding from Arabia to Persia, North Africa, and even into Spain, fueled by faith and military brilliance. Between these giants lay the Khazars, a Turkic-speaking people who had carved out a realm stretching from the Caspian Sea to the Black Sea, controlling vital trade routes that connected east and west. Their land was both a blessing and a curse, blessed with wealth from trade, but cursed with constant pressure from empires wanting control. The Khazars knew that to survive, they needed not only strong armies, but also a strong identity. 2. A shocking choice. By the 8th or 9th century, the Khazars made a decision that historians still marvel at. Their ruling elite converted to Judaism. Unlike Christianity and Islam, Judaism was not a proselytizing religion. It had no empire, no missionary armies, and no political backing. To the outside world, the choice seemed illogical. Why did they do it? Several theories exist. Strategic neutrality. If the Khazars had chosen Christianity, they would have aligned too closely with Byzantium. If they had chosen Islam, they would have fallen under the influence of the caliphates. By embracing Judaism, they remained neutral, independent from both superpowers. Political identity. Judaism gave the Khazars a unique cultural and religious identity that set them apart. In a world where religion and politics were inseparable, this choice ensured they could not be easily absorbed by neighbors. Spiritual curiosity. Some historians suggest genuine spiritual interest. The Khazars, exposed to diverse faiths through trade and diplomacy, may have found the moral and legal structure of Judaism compelling. Whatever the reason, the shockwaves were immediate. The Byzantines and caliphates suddenly faced a neighbor who refused to be swayed by their religious influence. 3. The Khazar Kingdom's Golden Age. With their new identity, the Khazars entered a golden age. Their capital, Adal, became a bustling city where merchants from Baghdad, Constantinople, the Viking lands, and even China passed through. The Khazars became wealthy through controlling the Silk Road trade, taxing goods that moved across their territory. Their society was remarkably cosmopolitan. While the ruling elite practiced Judaism, their subjects included Christians, Muslims, and pagans, all living under Khazar protection. This religious tolerance was unusual in a time when most empires demanded conformity. The Khazars also excelled militarily. Their armies of cavalry guarded the steppes, repelling raids and keeping control over trade routes. They formed alliances when convenient, sometimes siding with Byzantium, sometimes with the Muslims, but always keeping their independence at the core. 4. Why the world was shocked. The Khazars shocked the world for several reasons. Defiance of the religious order. In a time when Christianity and Islam were battling for dominance, the Khazars refused to play along. They chose a third path, embracing a faith that was marginalized and often persecuted. Strategic genius. Their decision revealed an astute understanding of geopolitics. By aligning with neither superpower, they created a diplomatic shield. Neither Byzantium nor the caliphates could claim them as religious brothers, yet both needed them as allies or trade partners. Cultural boldness. Unlike many kingdoms that imitated their powerful neighbors, the Khazars carved out a unique identity. This boldness gave them resilience and pride. Religious tolerance. Their acceptance of multiple faiths within their kingdom stood in contrast to the often rigid and intolerant policies of surrounding empires. This multiculturalism made them a model of coexistence long before such ideas became common. 5. Decline and fall. But no kingdom lasts forever. By the 10th century, the Khazar Empire faced mounting pressures. New powers were rising in the north. The Rus, Norse traders and warriors who founded cities like Kiev and Novgorod. To the south, Islamic powers grew stronger, and Byzantine influence pushed harder. The Khazars' control of trade routes weakened as new paths emerged. Internal divisions and external invasions chipped away at their strength. By the late 10th and early 11th centuries, Khazaria had collapsed, its capital destroyed, and its people scattered. Yet even in their fall, the Khazars left behind a legacy that continued to shock and fascinate the world. 6. The legacy of the Shock Kingdom. Why does the story of Khazaria still matter? Because their shocking choice resonates with several timeless themes. Faith as identity. The Khazars proved that religion could be a deliberate choice of political identity, not just inherited tradition. Independence in a world of giants. Their refusal to bow to surrounding empires reminds us that small powers can maintain independence through clever strategy. Tolerance as strength. By creating a multi-faith society, they demonstrated that diversity could be an asset rather than a weakness. The power of the unexpected. Their story teaches that history is not always predictable. Sometimes the most surprising choices shape the future. Even today, the Khazars appear in literature, myths, and even conspiracy theories. Some speculate about their descendants, while others see them as a symbol of resistance against domination. 7. The shock that changed history. What makes the Khazars' story truly shocking is not just their conversion, but the message it carried. In a world where power seemed to flow only from great empires, this Middle Kingdom proved that choice itself could be power. By choosing differently, they forced Byzantium and the caliphates to respect them. By creating tolerance at home, they fostered stability. By carving their own path, they shocked the world. Their kingdom may have vanished, but their story remains a reminder. History is not written only by the strong, but also by the bold, the unexpected, and the shocking. 8. Lessons from the Shock Kingdom. From their story, we can draw several lessons that still apply today. Neutrality can be power. Just as the Khazars used Judaism to stay neutral between empires, nations today can use neutrality as a shield against domination. Identity is a choice. The Khazars remind us that identity is not always inherited. It can be chosen, crafted, and wielded strategically. Tolerance creates stability. Their success in maintaining a multi-faith society shows that inclusion often strengthens rather than weakens. Survival requires adaptation. The Khazars thrived as long as they adapted to shifting trade and political realities. Their decline came when they could no longer adjust. A shock that still echoes. History is not merely a list of kings, battles, and empires. It is also a gallery of moments when a single decision, unexpected and even shocking, altered the course of entire civilizations. Some of these decisions come from mighty powers, like Rome embracing Christianity or Arabia giving rise to Islam. Yet sometimes, the greatest shocks come not from the giants, but from the smaller kingdoms caught between them. One such story belongs to the Khazars, a kingdom whose bold and bewildering choice continues to echo centuries later. The Khazars, a Turkic-speaking people who rose to prominence in the steppes of Eurasia, startled the world when their rulers embraced Judaism in the 8th or 9th century. In an age dominated by two religious superpowers, Christian Byzantium and the Islamic Caliphates, the Khazars rejected both paths, instead choosing a faith that had no empire, no armies, and no political protection. This decision was shocking then, and it remains shocking now. But beyond the strangeness of the event lies a deeper truth. The Khazars' choice is not just a historical curiosity. It is a mirror for our times, reflecting themes of identity, independence, and courage that are as relevant today as they were over 1,000 years ago. Let us explore why this shock still echoes. 1. The world that couldn't believe it. To appreciate the shock, we must step back into the world of the Khazars. By the 7th and 8th centuries, the world of Eurasia was divided between two vast forces. The Byzantine Empire, heirs of Rome, with Constantinople as their jewel, defending Orthodox Christianity as both political and spiritual order. The Islamic Caliphates, born from the Arabian desert, sweeping across Persia, North Africa, and Spain, spreading Islam through both faith and conquest. For centuries, these two powers wrestled for dominance. Religion was not just personal belief. It was state identity, political weapon, and cultural glue. Every kingdom around them was pressured to take sides. But between them lay the Khazars, a people ruling the fertile trade routes of the Caspian and Black Seas. They controlled the gateways between Europe and Asia, taxing Silk Road merchants and influencing the flow of wealth. Caught between Byzantium's Christianity and Islam's caliphates, the Khazars seemed destined to eventually bow to one or the other. Instead, they shocked the world. 2. The shock of independence. Sometime around the 8th or 9th century, the Khazar rulers declared their allegiance not to the cross or the crescent, but to the Star of David. They adopted Judaism, a faith practiced by scattered communities, but lacking any empire to defend it. This was political brilliance disguised as religious devotion. By refusing both Christianity and Islam, the Khazars created a zone of neutrality. Neither Byzantium nor the caliphates could claim them as religious kin, and thus neither could justify swallowing them in the name of faith. The shock was twofold. Religious shock. How could a kingdom voluntarily choose a religion that carried no worldly prestige, and that was often persecuted? Political shock. How could a smaller state defy the two most powerful empires in the world and still survive? The Khazars' decision demonstrated an independence of thought and a courage of identity that baffled contemporaries. 3. Why the shock still matters. The Khazars' choice was not simply a quirk of history. It carries lessons that still resonate today. A. Identity is a choice. Most kingdoms of the time adopted the religion of their powerful neighbors. Armenia became Christian under Byzantine influence. Persia became Islamic after conquest, and countless tribes aligned themselves with stronger powers. But the Khazars proved that identity is not always inherited, it can be chosen. They crafted a path that was uniquely theirs. Today, in a world of globalization and cultural dominance, the Khazars remind us that identity can be actively shaped, not passively received. B. Courage in the face of giants. Byzantium and the caliphates were giants. Aligning with either would have been safer in the short term. Yet the Khazars dared to step outside the binary, creating a third option. Their courage reflects the timeless truth that even small nations or communities can resist assimilation if they dare to choose differently. C. Creativity in politics. Religion for the Khazars was not just spiritual, it was also political. They used faith as a shield, not to expand but to survive. Their decision shows that creativity in politics can sometimes achieve what armies cannot. 4. Echoes in our time. Why do we still find the Khazar story so compelling? Because its echoes can be heard in our modern struggles. Neutrality as survival. Just as the Khazars used Judaism to stay neutral, modern small states often adopt non-aligned positions to resist domination by global superpowers. Cultural independence. In a world where cultural hegemony often pressures smaller societies to conform, the Khazars' bold refusal to imitate their neighbors is inspiring. Tolerance and diversity. The Khazar kingdom was home to Muslims, Christians, Jews, and pagans. Their model of coexistence, though imperfect, was ahead of its time. The echo is clear. Independence, tolerance, and courage remain the keys to survival in a world of giants. 5. The fragility of boldness. Of course, the Khazar story is not just about triumph. Their kingdom eventually declined under pressure from the rising Rus to the north and stronger Islamic powers to the south. Their bold decision could not shield them forever from geopolitical shifts. By the 10th century, Khazaria had collapsed. But this too carries a lesson. Boldness is not a guarantee of eternal survival. Independence requires constant adaptation. The Khazars thrived as long as they controlled trade and maintained balance. When those conditions changed, their kingdom crumbled. The echo here is sobering. Courage and creativity can sustain a people, but they must evolve with time. 6. The symbolic power of the shock. Even after their fall, the Khazars' story lingered in memory, literature, and imagination. For centuries, they became a symbol. For Jews, they were remembered as proof that even entire nations could embrace Judaism voluntarily, not just through inheritance. For historians, they were a fascinating case study of independence in an age of empire. For mythmakers, they became a canvas for speculation, sometimes twisted into conspiracy theories about hidden lineages or secret powers. The Khazars shocked their contemporaries, but their shock has continued to echo in every generation since. 7. What we learn from the echo. The Khazar story is more than historical trivia. It is a mirror. It mirrors the challenge of small states living in the shadow of superpowers. It mirrors the struggle of communities to preserve identity amidst cultural domination. It mirrors the daring possibility that even the unexpected can reshape history. The Khazars remind us that power does not always come from size or wealth. It can come from choice, from the courage to shock the world by doing the unexpected. 8. A shock that still echoes. When we look back today, what stands out about the Khazars is not their fall, but their boldness in the face of overwhelming odds. Their choice still echoes because it challenges us to rethink how we understand history. History is not only written by conquerors. Sometimes it is shaped by those who refuse to be conquered. The Khazars' shocking choice of Judaism, their creative politics, and their fragile yet resilient independence serve as a reminder that the path of history is never fixed. It is full of surprises, full of shocks, and those shocks continue to ripple across time. And so, the story of the shocked kingdom remains a story for our times, a call to courage, to independence, and to the belief that even the most unexpected paths can shape the destiny of nations. Thank you for joining us on this journey into the shocked kingdom that shocked the world. History is full of moments where the unexpected reshaped everything. And this kingdom's story reminds us that even the most unlikely choices can echo across centuries. If you enjoyed this exploration, don't forget to like, share, and subscribe for more deep dives into history, myth, and mystery. Your support helps us bring forgotten stories back to light. What did you find most surprising about this kingdom? Share your thoughts in the comments. We'd love to hear them. Until next time, keep exploring the past.